Welcome to the Imagine Me podcast. Imagine me, imagine you, imagine us. I am Lily Price.
And I am Tyshaune Toney.
Imagine yourself in a space where women can laugh and learn to value themselves by creating a deeper relationship with the divine. Imagine yourself free. What do you imagine? Welcome to the Imagine Me podcast. I'm Lily Price.
I'm Tyshaune Toney.
And we are also sitting here with Lucas, the head of the whole
thing here. Huh?
Right. So it's like, I asked him, I said, why am I opening up? You're shook. Let's go.
This is not Bad Boy Records. This is not Death Row. This is Good Boy, Life Row, Live Life, Be Good. So your audience who doesn't know me, I'm Lucas Tindell, owner of Lucas Live Media, and very proud and excited of the work you guys are doing as the host of Imagine Me. Lily, that day when you came to me and said, if I don't give you a show, you're going to burn my studio down.
Yeah,
I was like, I will, because I don't want no smoke burning up from my studio that's on fire. So but we talked about it, and you actually were a part of me getting this studio as well, and just your vision as a business owner and going for it inspired me for real. Like I was doing it, and then I met with you and saw you building out your childcare center, and it wasn't all the way together.
No, it wasn't, but it is now.
And it's full.
We are full. We are fully blessed.
Congratulations.
Yes, fully blessed.
And have waiting lists.
And a strong waiting list. Mm-hmm. Yes, right?
And I come from childcare, the childcare world. I worked in childcare for 16 years, from the time I was 16 till I was in my 30s. So I know how hard it is. I know how demanding it is. And I know as a mother, and you guys both work at the childcare center, which is actually really close. We're in the same
Lucas
parking lot, literally.
Is always like, oh, I know you can shoot today because I can see your car.
Exactly. Oh, you're around. Don't try to act like we're not having an episode. I know you guys were there. Stop playing. Send them kids home and get over here.
Right.
So, so today you guys just finished an episode about co-parenting.
Yes.
And I also went through co-parenting. I don't say went through, but it sounds like the struggle. I also survived co-parenting.
Yes.
But I went through it as well. And as you guys were sharing, I just, as I often am, was intrigued by your conversation. I had questions, I had thoughts. So you guys invited me on. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm excited to talk about it. So what are some of your thoughts about it? You guys have some interesting thoughts about co-parenting for those who maybe didn't hear the last episode.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just a quick overview. I mean, I can try to make it quick. I talk a lot. But,
I do too,
for me, and I don't necessarily know if Ty feels the same way. We had some of these conversations, but for me, it's really important to take emotion out of co-parenting because there's just so many different emotions that can come from co-parenting based off of what that relationship looked like prior to being in your co-parenting situation.
Absolutely.
We talked about, are you just the baby mama that was like, oops, you know, or are you an ex-wife, an ex-partner? Like, what does that look like? And then taking that dynamic and putting it into your co-parenting relationship can make it a mess.
Yeah.
So it's just really important to take out the emotion. I'm a believer, so obviously, putting God first in that and allowing him to kind of show you how to handle these situations is best. But even for folks who aren't believers, really identifying, is this helping your kids? Is it hurting your kids by taking all the emotion out on that ex-partner and putting it into that co-parenting relationship? Because when you do that, you're not doing anything but hurting the kids. And it's also creating a space where your kids don't always feel safe talking to you. I found myself in that situation where my kids were like, oh, we're not going to talk about that.
Right.
Because they saw how angry I was.
Sure.
But when I was able to take the emotion out, they started to feel more relaxed. Oh, we did this with Dad. We did that with Dad. You know what I mean? And it just created a space for me to even be closer with my kids rather than them feel like, oh, I can't share this part of my life with Mom. And then also identifying, what are you mad about? What are we angry for?
Anyway.
There are those different layers of finances, like, are they paying child support? Are they buying the things that you're asking them to buy or doing the things that they need to do? But what the Lord has shown me is that it's just really more important for relationship and that the Lord will be my provider. And not just for me, but all women. And I'm speaking for women, but there are men who are single fathers. Absolutely.
Right.
and they're doing a great job. But I do think that when women take that financial part out and say, look, God will provide, whether that be through child support or whether it just be through me finding my purpose, he is going to be the provider, but allowing your kids to just take that stress off of them and just be kids and just love their parents.
I love that. And I think, and Ty, I'd love to hear your thoughts too. I think it's an interesting dynamic because it's like on one hand, people have a responsibility to their children.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does, like in essence, and even I think in God's eyes, we have a responsibility to the children we bring into this world.
Right.
And at the same time, your point, and this was one point I was really fascinated by when I was watching you guys, was your idea that to lean on that man if you're a single mother, or lean on that woman if you're a single father, as though they are your source, is like putting another God before God.
Yeah.
Because God is like, I'm always the provider.
Yeah.
Whether they figured out their life enough to where they can pay some type of child support or not, whether they're here or gone, those are my children that I will provide for. And I can do better with it if you get anger, animosity, hate out of the way, because that always blocks blessings regardless. So I thought that was a fascinating concept because as a man who paid child support for many, many years, I don't want to say I liked child support. That's a weird thing to say. I love, like, can I get some more kids to pay child support? Like, you need some child support, girl? I'll pay for your kids. It wasn't like that.
You get child support. You get
You
child
get
support.
child support. You get child support. Everybody get a little child support. I got money for everybody. It wasn't that. What I liked was the consistency. I'm a consistent person. I don't want anybody questioning my desire or ability or willingness to take care of my children. So the fact that it was set in the court was what it was. And I went through losing a job. That was tough because then I accrued accruals or back pay. I forget the word they use, whatever it is, right? So then when I started working again, they were taking even more because like, you got to make up for this. And it was tough. You know, it was tough. But at the end of the day, it was what it was. Like, at least it was consistent. And my ex-wife couldn't say, I just didn't do it. Like, you can't say I didn't do it because it's being pulled out of my check. So I think it's interesting. And at the same time, she did what she had to do to provide for herself. She got her master's. She did things to better herself, to make sure she was in a position. She wasn't like, I can't provide for the kids if you don't provide for the kids, which I respect her for that. And I think that's your point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that we also talked about, and just being transparent, I love that word, transparent.
Transparency is
I'm an
good.
open book.
Yes.
It's not that I don't feel for women who feel like that they can't financially take care of their kids, but I also want women to start looking at themselves and feel more power within themselves. You know what I mean? That we can do it. You know, I'm an educated person. I don't think that my education is what gets me in a place where I can provide for my kid. I think what put me in a position where I can provide for my kid is putting God first and trusting the process.
Yeah.
And that's that. The other piece is really just identifying that you can do it. You know, when you take that anger and you're putting it all on that other person, it's taking away from the time that you can invest into your children. And they're seeing that, and it's just ugly, you know? And it's not even just with the child support component. It's the co-parenting relationship, period. All of that anger, all of that animosity, all of those things, even if you're talking bad about that other parent to your kids, it hurts them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It absolutely hurts them. And then from a spiritual perspective, Christ talks about that, like that's murdering someone with your tongue, right?
Right.
So if you're a believer, you're murdering them with your tongue.
That's deep.
If you're not a believer, you're taking that energy and giving it back to that person instead of investing it into your children.
And you reap what you sow regardless.
You do.
And the funny
You
part
do.
about you say being a believer, the interesting thing is you don't have to believe in something for it to be true.
Right.
You don't have, people used to say, I ain't scared of you. I'd be like, it's a lot of brave people got beat up. I was like, you might want to move, right? Like, it's not like your fear is what's going to make it happen, right? Or you don't have to believe in gravity. Jump off a building, see what's going to happen. You don't got to believe. You don't have to believe God to be God for God to be God. God didn't ask for permission, right? So every belief throughout the course of history has figured out something along the lines of you reap what you sow. You get what you give. What goes around comes around. Karma. Whatever belief that everybody had something like that because it's a universal law. It's just as true as gravity. So when we give a lot of negative energy, the unfortunate part is we get it back. And the funny part, sometimes we get it back from that same person, especially when you're in a contentious situation. But sometimes you get it back from people you don't expect it from. Somebody at a job, somebody you're in a new relationship with, your children, a neighbor. You're like, why am I getting all this negativity in my life? The bill collector acting like it's their money. You have a bill collector. You be like, your bills is behind.
Right.
I wasn't the company I was calling. Like, why you got to treat me like this your money or something? But they're not as kind to you because you get what you give. So we have to be careful not to let these situations cause us to plant seeds of hate, anger, animosity. I always say, because somebody else is acting ugly can't cause me to act ugly, because I don't want to grow a field of ugliness. And I look out at my harvest and everybody like, oh, the harvest is here and I'm blessed by God. And you look at it and your harvest is a mess.
Right.
I don't want that. Like, I want a good harvest. I want good people to come to my life. I want good things to come to me because I've planted good seeds. Have I been perfect at that throughout life and co-parenting? Nope.
Yeah.
I wasn't, because I was hurt or I was angry or I was whatever. And it can be really challenging. Ty, what's your overall thoughts on just your overall philosophy on co-parenting? And I know you're new to it. And it's a delicate situation too. I want everybody to know we're talking about delicate things we've been through, things we may still be going through. So with all respect to the people on the other side of these things, we're not here to talk about our particular situations. And in some of these cases, it's not necessarily my thing. Like, I know men right now who are dealing with it. I'm out of it now.
Right.
And I can speak to that in that way. So Ty, whether it's yours or just your overall philosophy on the situation, what do you kind of think about the complexities of co-parenting?
It's very difficult. I do think that, but from my experience, I think that just saying less.
Less is more.
Yeah,
I
saying
love
less
that.
is more. And sticking on the
priorities of the children, what
That's
matters
it.
most. Yeah.
And now I don't want to talk to you. Like, I don't even want to finish this conversation because we couldn't just on the kids, whether it be me or whether it be the other person.
Yeah.
But I think it is really tough co-parenting. I was looking at my mom like, she's a single mom with 3 children.
Wow.
For So then when this other person did come in picture, like, hold up now. We was living a free life. We enjoyed ourselves. We was
Interesting.
kids
Like a stepfather?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but he wasn't quite a stepfather.
Okay.
Just a boyfriend.
He was a few steps back.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a step.
But he didn't have any children.
Oh, okay.
So like, that's a thing.
Okay. Next episode will be.
So it was, I mean, now like it's actually coming to me now. We're talking about this.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought about my childhood being with a person that was, my dad was not around.
Interesting.
And I didn't like the way this person was doing. So
adding combative co-parenting makes it even harder. Yeah.
Yeah. It's triggering.
It is.
It's interesting because sometimes we have unresolved adverse childhood experiences. We have ACEs.
Right.
And we don't know it until they're triggered. I know there's a lot of things even now in my life as a parent. My youngest is 14, and just in my life that I realize I'm triggered by. My mom passed away in 2020. It had such an impact on me to this day. Like, I am not the same. There's a piece of me that's missing. There's something I'm still looking for in life. It's affected the way I parent, the way I interact with my wife, the way I interact in business. I have this crazy drive to succeed and like a lonely place inside of me that it's like, I don't know it until I know it. Like, we're having this conversation and there's something that's like, oh, wait, that had an impact on it. My father was in prison when I was young. I spent so many years praying for my dad to come home. And then my dad came home and it was good. My mom and dad's relationship wasn't what I wanted it to be, but they stayed together until my mom passed away, and they loved each other. But then my mom leaving, it was like, I felt like I could pray my dad home because he did come home eventually. It's like, I can't pray my mom home. No matter how many times I ask God, like, I want my mom, I can't have my mom like that in this life, in this way. So I say that to say I understand that this conversation is starting to bring up something. And to anybody out there watching or listening, if it's bringing up something for you, we hope that you can find safe people that you can talk to help you process that, not just let that trauma trigger you and have you going off, because that's what the triggers explosions. And I don't want to be a person who lives in an explosive state because I'm being triggered by everything. So that makes a lot of sense.
I want to kind of speak up for the women that are in pain, because I think a lot of times when we're in pain, when we are in pain, right? We want the person that hurt us to understand
That's so true.
that pain.
So true.
It's not even so much feeling it,
Yeah.
but can you understand what you did,
Deep.
right? And so when you add children to that, right, you're putting them in place, right? You're putting them in the middle of war. They're in the middle of that pain.
Right.
So women who are in pain, who have been hurt, because as we're having this conversation in the back of my head, I can hear these women like, y'all don't even understand. Y'all might have it together.
Yeah.
I don't have it together.
Right.
He don't do this. He don't
And
do
I
that.
need it.
He
My
don't do
children
that.
are struggling.
Right.
We're
He half
suffering.
come in. He half pick them up. He half does it. Or he takes them to get their haircut, or he takes them to get this and the other, but he needs to pay more.
Right.
Like he
He comes to the game, but
they
he's not
got
taking them
cell
to practice
phones,
every
they
day.
got cars, they
Yeah.
need gas money.
Sure.
I can hear these women saying all of these things. I hear you. I hear you. I understand you. However,
And not but.
right.
And
right.
yes.
Look at the strengths of the father.
Yeah.
And I think even if you don't like that person, right? You were connected with them,
At
whether it
some
be a
level, at some
one-night
point,
stand,
right.
whether it be a relationship,
Right.
whether it be a marriage, for a reason. There was something that you
Right.
found appealing about this person.
Right.
And for me, I had to identify that my children's father, right, regardless of whether I liked him or not, he was a good dad.
That's great.
That was one thing that I was like, oh, he's really good at this.
Yeah. We're good at that dad.
He's good at that dad thing,
Right. Right.
And I was like, well, how can I build off of that strength?
Yeah.
So really looking at people and saying, what is the strength?
Yeah.
Is the strength that he just comes and gets them for haircuts? Because if that's the strength, let him have that strength.
Yeah.
Like, let him pick them up, let him take them to get haircuts, let him have a good time at the barbershop, and then bring them back. And then go back to the Lord. Trust God that he will be your provider. Pray that, because I think, Ty, you said this before. Don't just pray for yourself in this situation.
Right.
Pray for that other person. Pray for your co-parent.
Right.
Lord, show them what they ought to do.
Right.
Lord, show them how to deal with me and show me how to deal with them.
Right.
You might not think that haircut is enough. You might not think it's enough.
Right.
But that might be all that they need. You
Yeah.
know, them taking them to the Father's walk, picking your little girl up and
But
taking
wait,
them
they
in.
get to look good in the newspaper and social media,
Man.
showing that. Let me play devil's advocate in there. I
Yeah.
don't like to advocate for the devil. You guys know the term. So some women would say it's not fair, and maybe Ty, you can answer this. It's not fair that this dad gets to show up for birthdays, championship football games, basketball. He shows up for all the highlights and the social media moments as if it's a PR machine. Like, what are you, like, putting out an image? Or are you parenting, right? Your parenting image is amazing. Your real parenting is terrible. Is it fair? Should we be okay that at least he's doing that, or is that not okay? What is your thought on that? And then Lily, you can share your thought too.
Look.
And she's like, oh, that was tough. Who said that's that?
I mean, I don't know if fair should be involved in that because if he's doing what he feels like is enough, then how can I say it?
Right.
But it's not fair for me to say,
Okay.
I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I think that he should be doing. Even if I think that he should be doing what I'm doing, like it should be 50-50, that's not.
Right.
It's not realistic.
Right. There's no way that, I think there's no way it's 50-50 between a custodial parent and a non-custodial parent. It's just not. And I've been both. And even when looking back when I was the non-custodial parent, my wife had way more to deal with. There's no way, and there's no way my money or even the other time that I could give could equate to them throwing up in the middle of the night. And I'm not there for that. I can't be there for that. And that can, and how often that happens.
But
multiple times throughout
I
life.
chose that.
True.
Like,
Sometimes there's a
chose
fight
to
for
be the
that. It's like, you want to be the
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
chose to be the
Good point.
custodial, so I need to be like, okay, well, I got to step up to the plate and do what I got to do. Now, if I need something, or I need him to do something, I need to say,
the children
hey,
need something.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But I should be like, okay, how can we do this? What can we do about this part? But I can't say that because I may even in my mind think he's lacking somewhere. I can't say, well, you're not being a good parent because you're not.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say that.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to let you do whatever you feel like you can do
Right.
and that you need to do. I'm not your parent. But to sit here and chase after you and be like, you need to do this. I need you to do that. Why aren't you doing this? Why? Like, that's not my
You ain't
job.
raising a man.
No, that's not my job.
I didn't raise you when I was with you. I definitely ain't trying to raise you now.
Exactly. Like, you be their parent the way you feel like the best way to be their parent. Because at the end of the day, the kids see it. Well, they see it and they know. They know
For sure.
who was there, how they
Yeah.
were there. They know what he does for them. They know what I do. We're two different people.
Right.
So, like, for example, he takes them all kind of places, like all fun stuff and that kind of stuff. I'm not the fun mom. I'm not at all.
You ain't trying to go ice skating?
No.
You don't want to do that.
No.
You don't
I
want to go to
do
laser
now.
tag and
Now
go
somebody would be like, "Oh, we're gonna go ice skating, so let's go to ice skating." I'm like, okay,
must we?
or a
Really?
fair, like even a fair, they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna take the kids to the fair." I'd be
and
like,
all you doing is standing there watching them all
I
ride?
know. I'm like, y'all want to go to the fair? They were like, I'm like, hey,
Right.
all right, let's
One
go to
time a
this
year.
fair. I know.
Right. This is the last time we go.
But I'm not that parent. But he's
Yeah.
a parent. Like, I want to take them to the fair, or can you take them to the fair? Like, he's that kind of parent.
Yeah.
So what they would say is, he's the fun parent.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. I'm more like, you got to earn this before you go to do such
I
and
was
such.
fun but frugal. My kids were laughing at me because I was like,
But I don't know. But like, we both now definitely parent two different ways.
yeah.
And I don't know how.
Are you grateful that he takes them to have fun?
I am. Like, I appreciate that.
Because you don't
I
want to
don't
do
have
it.
No, I
Right.
don't have to do it. Now, sometimes I was like, okay,
You look
we
good
can
over
we
there.
can go to breakfast.
Right.
We can go to breakfast in the church.
That's right.
But no, like, I'm just not that kind of parent.
Yeah.
I would like to be. I think for me,
Yeah.
it's a part of me trying to balance me.
Yeah.
So I need to find a place where I can be the mother that I need to be, but I also need to be the woman I need to be.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that part out and balance being a mother than being like, because if I don't got to do nothing, I don't want to do nothing.
Want to?
No.
Any mothers out there agree. If you ain't got nothing to do, you don't want nothing to do.
But I do find myself being selfish
Okay.
at times, especially on my weekend without my children.
But when you don't have your children, you just be doing you.
I'll be doing me. I'll be
Is that
kicking
wrong?
it.
Everybody out there? Is that wrong? See,
I think
you know what I be kicking? Microphone.
He about to bust me.
kicking it. And this all
My two front teeth about to
no. What happened to your two friends? Well, niggas was drop kicking mics again. We don't know why we had him on the show. It's his stuff though, so you figure he can play.
But it's the only time I have for myself. Only time I have for myself. So I tried to take advantage.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm always spending money. My money.
It's your money.
I'm not spending my money when I go
We're so
and kick it and
different.
do stuff.
Right.
Like,
Me and
I'm
Ty are
not.
different.
But when I have them, like, I mostly spend time with them at home. Like, we're gonna play games. We're gonna have conversations. We're gonna movies. We're gonna do stuff like that.
Yeah, but you're not trying to go out.
No.
Chuck E. Cheese in it every day.
No.
Yeah,
And I can't
and
stand
Dave
Chuck E.
and Buster, whatever they bring out. Yeah,
No.
and that's fair, I think. And somebody out there, and I think Lily has a different way of doing it. And I think everybody, what we hope, I think when they listen to these, and shout out to our other podcasts. So shout out to Joy and Liz with Sister Chats Refined. Check that out at Lucas Live Media on our YouTube channel. And Sarah and Bree, her name is Bree. Her name is Bree. I call her Sarah. Bree and Chris with The Reality of Real Estate. Check out those shows as well. When you guys think about this stuff, when you listen to the things that we're saying across all the shows and even this show, it is not that we were like, hey, let's put two people together on shows that have the exact same mindset and everything is the same. We hope you see some diversity and dichotomy that will allow you to resonate with one or the other, or parts of one or the other, or, you know, the whole story as a whole. Because it's interesting, you were saying you don't want to do a bunch of stuff. I was a parent who every minute I had with my kids, when they were really little, I just held them literally all weekend. And we joke about it now. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, whatever shows is coming on, whatever kid shows, I'm cooking breakfast, kid shows, I'm making lunch, kid shows, we having dinner, bath time, bedtime, and I'm going to bed when y'all go to bed. I just held my baby so long because I didn't have them all week. And I was like, oh, I couldn't wait to get them. And then as they got older, you know, things changed and we would go outside and play basketball for hours and hours and go to the park. But I was also frugal in that, like, my kids would be like, oh, yeah, we going to the park because the park is free. I'm like, you darn right, you better pump that basketball up with that free park. So it's at the get-go. But, and then we would do some other things after that as well. Our producer, shout out to Tiff Williams, a production supervisor extraordinaire. She does so many things here at Lucas Live Media. She's telling us that in 5 minutes, we will have been talking for 30 minutes. There's no way. All right, so we just gonna keep going. Anyway, thank you, Tiff, for letting us know. Wave that again in 5 minutes and then 5 minutes after that. Okay. Lily, you were saying it's different for you than what Ty said. How's it different?
Yeah,
I thought
like
you were gonna be
how
like, I like
Ty.
my kids. I was
I
like,
do.
I think
So
Tucker
that's
like
where
mine
I
too.
struggle.
Okay.
I'm a very like, these are my kids.
Possessive?
Yeah, like these are mine. And I've had
Mm.
to learn, like, now that, I have to co-parent, like being away from them for a weekend is tough for me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so tough.
Still.
Oh
And
yeah.
you
I'm getting
have some
glossy in the
older
eyes talking to,
children.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
you got
I
one
don't,
another's are kind
I
of getting up
know,
there.
I don't like it. It's very tough for me. I even feel guilty, like almost sometimes having fun without them.
Mm.
And then there's times where they're home and I might have a plan, like something to do, like dinner or going out with my husband and different things. And I feel like, hey, well, this
Why?
is my week. I don't know. I've always been that way though. And
Is
I
it
think, but yeah, go ahead.
were your parents always there every minute or like
I don't know where it came from.
Mhm.
I think what I do with my kids, I will say that like my parents didn't necessarily do it with me. They
Yeah.
spent time with me and they were at every
Sure.
game and all of those different things. But I'm more like, I'll do like, let's go to a Cavs game. Let's go here and let's go do that. I'm not a Chuck E. Cheese mom. I'm with
Stay
you.
away from
I'm
Charles
not.
Cheese.
Every time I hear,
Shout out to Charles Cheese.
shout out to Chuck
I
E.
know
Cheese.
him.
Yeah.
So Edward Cheese.
I'm not the Chuck E. Cheese mom, but I am the let's go to the movies, let's go out
Okay.
to eat, let's go to the park, let's go for a walk, like let's play board games. So I'm with Ty on that. I've always been that way. I know for my older son, he watched me go to school most of his life, So
Right.
when you're talking about being an adult learner and you're getting 2 degrees, that takes time.
Yeah.
So I was working full time and going to school. So there might be some guilt from that
Okay.
of just feeling like I spent a lot of time trying to,
Better yourself.
better
life.
myself. Right. But he was right there with me.
Yeah.
He'd be sitting on the floor and I'd be writing a paper.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we watching Seinfeld. Shout out to Jerry Seinfeld.
Shout out to Seinfeld. That's my
So,
show.
yeah, but I don't know. I get very like sad when they leave. And I'm competitive. I'm like, oh, do you like your dad more than me? Like type stuff
The
in my
traits.
right.
Traits.
Like those are all the things instead. And I've had to work on that.
Yeah.
And that's why I like having this conversation. I can't be the only one.
Absolutely.
Because some of this is like, we don't want even from a woman's perspective, for others to be involved because it's like, well, I don't want them to like him more than me.
Yeah.
But, you have to understand that it's about the kids and not you, and just be confident in who you are as a parent.
And that pans out as adults. Like when you
It
get to
does.
adulthood,
Yeah.
I don't know very many adults whose parents both did their best. They're like, man, I just like mom more. That's like, as
Right.
an adult, you're like, I am now relating to you adult to adult.
Yeah.
So if I like mom more, it's only because mom is more consistent now
Yeah.
or still.
Yeah.
And yeah, the competition game is interesting because I felt like I was in competition
Yeah.
at the time, but I wasn't trying to be in competition because I'm such a mama's boy
Right.
that even though I didn't get along or I didn't see eye to eye with my ex-wife all the time, I understood love for a mother and I had
Yeah.
so much respect for it because it just is so inherent in me that
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's your mom.
That's
though.
your
Like,
mom.
love your
Right.
mom because I don't know what life would be like not loving my mother that
Yeah.
way. So,
I do get what Ty is saying though about like the fun parent.
yeah.
I'm not always the fun parent because they live with me.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm the one that's like setting the rules
Yeah.
and take out
We
the
gotta get to bed. We
trash
gotta get
and
up for
do
school
right.
every
Like
day.
these are
Yeah.
right. So I'm more of the like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. Whereas when they're, with their dad, it's like, oh, we went to the game, we
Yeah.
went to the such and such.
Weekends is better.
Right. And I'm like, well, guess what we're doing this weekend? We're
Chores.
redoing rooms.
Right. Time to
Start
pay.
get your trash back. Right. So I mean, I want to be the fun parent, but getting into this co-parenting situation, I kind of got upset about that because I wasn't the parent that I was before. I was kind of, not that I'm by myself doing it, but I am. I'm the parent that's setting the rules and creating the boundaries, and the consequences and the discipline most of the time. And so you got to start wearing different hats.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for their mom.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm be confused of why it needs to be a competition. We're two different sexes. We can bring
We have two different roles
two different
in their
yes.
lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you do what you need to do, or just speaking in
100%.
perspective. Like, but it's just like there don't need to be a competition.
Yes. I
Like
agree.
if they do say, "Oh, I love dad more," okay.
Yep. And when we start You got one more time
But
to do it
right,
and see if you
that's
gonna
all
come
I'm
up with
saying.
some homework.
yeah, but
Right,
it's
right,
like,
right,
okay,
right.
but you have your reason why you feel that way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's fine because
Yeah.
tomorrow it could be different.
Children
So
go
good.
through transition.
They do.
I mean,
People,
like you said, you were very close with your mom,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But me and my older son, very, very close. It was just me and him for a very long time.
Mhm.
He's actually so connected with his dad,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
He's a man.
Yes. Me and my
Okay,
dad
now-
are super close. Love
Right,
my
he's
dad.
a man. I mean, now he knows what to come to me for.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
I'm confident he knows what to come to me.
Yeah.
But as he's gotten older, me and my dad, me and my dad, me and dad, me and dad. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
But I have to understand that he's a man. He's
Yeah.
not trying to hang out and call me about everything right
Yeah.
now. But as long as I know that we still have a strong, tight relationship, and I know that my younger son, he knows what to come to mom for. He knows, but he's transitioning.
Mhm.
And so I think we also have to look at that too. Like as we look at our kids, you might have a little girl that you're raising that's going to draw near to her mom,
Sure.
at a certain time, and then draw near to her dad at a certain time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Interesting that you said that because I do feel that way for myself. I wanted my dad. He wasn't able to be there because he was in prison. That was terrible. But I was always close to my mom. So it wasn't
Mhm.
like new that my dad was gone. I was close to my mom. Then my dad came home and I was close to my dad again too.
Yeah.
And I loved him and wanted that. And I think we naturally have a desire we need same sex and opposite sex relationships.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting topic, I think. I know they talked about it on our sister chats refined about male and female friendships and things,
Mhm.
right? They talked about that. I think it's interesting because I think God intended us to have both male and female roles, mother, father, brothers, sisters, cousins, and friends. But we are so perverted in culture that we struggle to continue to allow those things to be in place
Yeah.
because it's like men struggle to have female relationships maybe because they're always thinking about how they want the girl because they just can't see her as another sister, right? Or a friend, right? Or vice versa. So I think that's tough. And when it comes to life as far as parenting, we were made. There's a part of a woman that needs a father. I wasn't perfect at it, but I always wanted my girls to feel like the day a man tells you you're beautiful is not the first time you heard a man tell you you're beautiful. You've heard it so many times from a man that loves you that you're not like, oh my God, I gotta go sleep with him or do something crazy. It's like, I've been hearing that.
Right.
I know I'm beautiful.
Right.
Thank you. But
Yeah.
that's not new to me.
Right.
Right. And I wanted, even as a father, to raise my son to be a gentleman and be kind and thoughtful. And my son is a lot like me. And there's areas that he's not like me. Like I'm much more relational and I love love. My son is like, I mean, he's 19.
Yeah.
I respect it though, because he's not
Right.
worried about a relationship like all that. When I was 19, I got married when I was 20. I was
Wow.
engaged when I was 19. My
Wow.
son is looking, this girl's like, you cool.
Right, not today.
Not today. And I was happy. My dad got married when he was 20. I got married when I was 20. My son, he ain't getting married. He about to be 20 in a minute.
Right.
And I respect that and I like that. But I think we need both of those things. So I think the competition is because then it puts the children in the driver's seat and children read that. They know that. Oh, they in competition. Well, I want more of this. Well, dad would give it to me. They know how to
Yeah.
throw that under their breath. They're manipulating you. And then they with dad and they telling dad the same. And they like,
Yeah.
oh, mom would have done it. No, and well, you wouldn't have done it. They're like,
Right.
she would. I know she would take you to the amusement park on 10 minutes notice. But if she would, I think I got to jump up and do it. Right. So I think we have to be careful with those things. And really, it's about competing to be the best us we can be. I think your conversation in your last episode where you talked about us developing ourselves, you guys were talking about focusing on your personal development instead of overly worried about what the other person is doing or what they're giving or not giving or supplying or not supplying. All things are supplied in God.
Right.
And not to say that people are out of their responsibilities and duties, but at the end of the day, the point is you do it or don't do it. My children will never go without because I'm not even their provider for real.
Right.
They're God's children.
Right.
He will provide. This Lucas Live Media Studio, y'all ain't never got to worry about a mic or a camera or a light because I'm the landlord of this thing, let's say, right? So I'm always going to provide it. You never have to worry. You just come in and sit down. We got you, right? That's what God wants to be to all of us. He's like, I want you to walk around in life knowing if you show up in the places I put for you, I will provide everything for you and I will provide everything for your children, whether this person or that person does it or doesn't. I will always provide. So I think when we get there, we really benefit from it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long we've been doing this show. Tiff waved the white flag about 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. I don't know. She's still smiling. All right. But if you guys want to have some closing thoughts, thank you guys for having me here on Imagine Me. I am not only a producer and whatever. I am a fan of this show. I listen to every
Appreciate that.
episode,
Mhm.
even though I edited them and looked at them, and me and Tiff worked on all of that stuff. When they released, I listened to every word of every episode and was just fascinated again at the insight and the transparency that you guys have. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
both.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
Final thoughts, just like you said, Lucas, just really identifying where you need to work on you, identifying where that anger comes from, or whatever it is that you're struggling with that other parent, and quit being God.
Mm.
You know,
Ooh.
quit forcing this and trying to force that, and let it go and just give it to him. And when you do that, it's going to all work out. A huge component to that is just trusting him and having faith. And I want to say this. You might feel SOFT, soft.
Ooh.
You know, right, soft. You know, there are people that will come in your ear and be like, no, you shouldn't. No, you
Right.
should. No, you letting this person, whether it
Mhm.
be man or a woman, you know,
Yep.
whatever situation or role you play. No, I can't believe you can't believe. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, letting things go doesn't mean you're soft.
Yeah.
What it is, it means you're trusted.
Mm.
It means you're a trusting person
Right.
and you're trusted by God. I'm not letting
God is
you
gonna
off the
take care
hook because me and you cool now,
Right.
right? I'm letting you off the hook because God has more for me and he wants me to see that other part. And I can't see it if I keep focusing on what you got going on and not focusing on what I got
Yeah.
going on. So that's my final thought.
And remember that co-parenting is about being a parent. It's not about what you and the other person has going on. It's about the children.
Right.
So just
Yep.
keep that in mind.
Love
When
that.
your emotions are involved, be emotional about your kids if you're going to be emotional. Not
Yeah.
about what the other person is doing, not about what you are not doing as far as the other person is concerned.
Sure.
It's all about the children. That's what I
Mhm.
say.
All right. Imagine me, imagine you, imagine us, and wow.